Welcome, Josh, to another episode of Are You Mad at Me? This is season 2, episode 2. Josh has just joined the what do you call it? Scene here.
Yeah. This is a second season.
Second season. We're trying something a little bit different.
We did episode 1 last week, and it was April Fool's, and you did a very in-depth and long interview with Amber Petty, and so we're coming back this week with episode 2. But it's kind of weird that we're on for the first time in the second episode.
Yeah.
But
And
anyway,
a few little things that were different for us. We changed everything around in our studio. And so we're geared for music because we're recording a new album. And so we're not really set up for a podcast anymore, but we had a lot of people getting in touch and asking where the podcast is. And I was like, I don't know how else to say. I don't want to do anything with self-publishing ever again for the rest of my life. Ever. And it was like, that's a long text or a long message. So I was like, fine, I'll just do the podcast. It's just easier.
It's easier to do the podcast than to write an uncomfortable text.
You said it. So, but I think it's important. And I think it's really cool that we're with this theme because the interview that we have coming up with Nancy Kenney, we did over in a B&B here in St. John's when she was here in town, and also with Annie Valentina. And we just handed them microphones, like these SM58s. We just handed them microphones because here's why. Here's my rationale. Because I know we're supposed to have like the headsets and the great big SM7 mics and all that stuff, but these are just vocal mics that you use on a stage, and they actually have a really nice warm sound. And we like a TV show that uses these.
Nobody Wants This.
It's called Nobody Wants
Netflix.
This, and who's your buddy's in that, right?
Sure.
I keep saying that. Josh loves is it Sarah Michelle Gellar? What's her name? She's married to Dak Shepard. What's her name?
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other. I don't know why you keep acting like this is a secret celebrity crush or something, but...
Acting like what? Just the same way that you're acting like I'm acting like something. He just likes her. It's fine. It's totally fine. We just watch a lot of her stuff, and I've noticed that we both enjoy her. That's all.
Anyway, they use this same setup of just a couple of SM58s.
I don't know. It seems like you get kind of starry-eyed, especially when you see Kristen and Dax's podcast and stuff like that. You seem like you have like relationship goals kind of floating around, like little hashtag floating around your head, like, oh, I wish I was like them. So this is an effort to please my husband and do a podcast that's a little more like the one Kristen Bell does on her TV show, and maybe manifest a TV show for us one of these days. Just this is for you, baby.
I'm going to say it also has something to do with the fact that we got rid of our couch. We used to have a couch here that we sat on, and we replaced it because it was an old piece of junk, and we got a new chair, which is nice and comfortable, which we love.
It's like the Bay City Rollers,
but it's a one person chair.
And we tried to just put the camera over in the corner and just go with it and put a chair next to that, and I was like, that is so asymmetrical. I can't even. And I know it's a podcast. I know it's audio, but we also have a visual component. So I'm going to go back to basics. Here's where I am today. I'll tell you. First of all, if you're just joining us, I'm Vicki Morgan, and this is the Are You Mad at Me podcast.
I'm Josh Morgan.
And we're both working artists, and we started this podcast over a year. Well, we've done a full year, and then we just started a second season starting April this year. And the whole idea was, as artists, like I was kind of walking around with this big Eeyore kind of complex, where Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, and I was like, why aren't people buying my books? Blah, blah, blah. Are they mad at me? And it was just started off as a joke. And then Josh set up the camera in our studio, and he was like, just sit there for 5 minutes and we'll do a sound check. And then that just blossomed into a podcast every single week, where every week I would come on and say who made me mad that week, or who I felt was mad at me, or something and I would complain and bitch and moan, and it just kind of became my thing. And people liked it, and I liked it because it was like a counseling session.
Well, we were the number one podcast in marketing and self-publishing in Canada, so... I mean,
the trophy doesn't lie.
Trophy don't lie.
The trophy don't lie. So I think for this week we got a great interview coming up, and it's about we talked to Nancy Kenney and Annie Valentina.
So we went to the Women's Work Festival.
Yep. It was their 20th anniversary
at the LSPU Hall in St. John's, and it was it's a week-long festival of plays and playwriting and workshops and all kinds of women-led.
Yes, and I don't
mean
to speak out of turn, but from what I understand from all the introductions was that festival came from a bunch of women who got together basically with the frequency of, is anyone mad at us? Like, why is it so hard to have to put up a play as a woman. And so they started the Women's Work Festival 20 years ago. 3 prolific writers, actors, directors in the city. Actually, one of the ladies runs, she's a clown. She's a clowning. She does improv classes. Sarah Tilley. She's known. She does puppeteering. She's a writer. She's working on some stuff right now with puppets, and she's brilliant. So she was one of the people, and I think Amy House and Ruth Lawrence. And so they celebrated 20 years this year. And because I started working on a play, I thought it was the first play I had ever written, but it turns out it was like the third or maybe more.
Yeah, you've dabbled. You've got a few.
I've written some scripts, and and some of them maybe they'd work better as a film, maybe they're just a music video kind of thing. But I've been kind of working on it. So I went to the Women's Work Festival to learn about what happens like after you write a script. And so it turns out it's not just here's a finished product. Who wants to mount it? It's really you workshop. I mean, that's what you can do. You can just rent a space in a theater and put on a show by yourself if you wanted, or get a couple of friends or whatever. But there's a whole industry out there for workshopping plays, and then they're always works in progress. And like the one that we spoke to Nancy Kenney about, she had workshopped for the last, was it 5 or 8 years?
Yeah, it was. I felt like it was closer to 10, but eight might be right.
She's done lots of other things.
She's been working on it for a long time.
Yeah, and so the one that we saw was phenomenal, absolutely amazing. So it was really inspiring. And so I wanted to get back. So all that to say, we have Nancy Kenney coming up in an interview.
So like the next day, we were like at their Airbnb doing this interview that you're about to see.
So that answers the question that I wanted to pose. So here's what's going on today. Right now it's Easter, and I am very proud that we are no longer a part of an organized religion. And the reason being, it didn't feel good. It was not like the structure and the rules and all those things were kind of just made me feel worse. They didn't feel like I didn't have the fellowship that it's supposed to offer. I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of acceptance or compassion. And then, of course, the one that I grew up in, and you can speak for your own, but there wasn't a whole lot of room for people of different orientations and different lifestyles. And so that kind of felt kind of gross, and I didn't want to pass that on to my kids, and it wasn't working for me. So even though it's Easter right now and a whole lot of our Christian friends are celebrating, like I'm kind of okay with not having a big deal
kind
about
of over it.
Yeah, we had a lot of chocolate, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, there was more chocolate in the house than usual.
Yeah, and we love the Easter chocolate. We really do. So that's great. But the thing is, I've kind of gotten into this other, I'm going to say, it's almost like a cult. I've gotten into all these law of attraction, manifestation, positive frequency, positive thinking stuff, and there's no organizer, there's no head person. I kind of just watch all of it, and my whole feed is full of it. Pardon the pun. And where that leaves me is like something crappy happened today, and I'm like, well, obviously the feelings I'm having about this are very wrong, and if I mention them, they're just going to manifest more of the same thing. And so I'm kind of caught in this exact same loop that I didn't like about organized religion. And I haven't tried all of them. Maybe there's a good one out there. Please don't tell me about your. I don't.
Yeah, we don't need to be sold.
We're not looking to be sold on any of them. It's just the whole premise of someone at the top. And I don't mean a spiritual thing. I mean a person.
A person at the top.
A regular person at the top telling everybody else how to live and collecting all their money seems a bit wrong to me. So I was like, well, these are all great, really great people with lots of guidance, and they're not doing it for money. They're doing it, but they're all doing it for money. And I don't know, if I had millions of dollars because I figured out how to manifest and use the law of attraction to my advantage, I don't know if I'd be doing YouTube videos. No, I guess that's kind of offensive to a few people, but they all have programs, and they all have programs you can buy into, and they're not cheap, and it's like, but they put out these free videos. So I'm using the videos, but again, like I said, something happened today, so I'm kind of like, there's a bunch of podcasts that we've recorded where I just work through all my.
It's a therapy session.
Yeah, for 45 minutes, and then around the 45-minute mark, I go, you know what? I kind of feel better, and there've been a few times in the last few where I said, can we just do that over again? So I'm just going to jump ahead. Here's what I'm doing. I'm jumping ahead to the 45-minute mark where I regret that I just told everything that happened, and I'm just like, oh, I'm getting some clarity. So I'm going to jump ahead to the clarity. And here's my question.
Okay.
Why would anybody start a podcast?
Well, I mean, it seems like I guess a lot of people do it for hobbies or just to talk to their friends or talk to people they want to talk to. But it seems like it's a way to make some money. Right? It's like you would want it to be a job or be sponsored or be in a place where it was bringing in money, right?
Tell me about that. Tell me more about that. So was that your intention when you started the podcast? You thought it'd be a money-making
No, I guess
venture?
not. Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
so why did you start?
well, we wanted to.
Why did you start?
It's just, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Well, think about. Well, so this is what I do. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Why did you start? And it can be just whatever.
At the time when we started this one, we were. It was the winter, and we had decided to not get our car fixed, and we were looking at being sort of housebound, which turned out to not be the case. But we were like, well, we're in here, we're in the house for the winter. Let's do a podcast. Let's sit down and share and talk. And then it turned into, marketing and self-publishing, and we found a direction and all that stuff. But at first, it was just like a hobby, like a fun thing to be doing, something to be at during the winter when we didn't have a car and couldn't be out driving around everywhere.
So what I just heard was that we ended up in the trolley tracks, which is there was a hockey announcer that used to say when somebody was skating into the corner and they were about to hit another player from the opposing team, sometimes there was a point of no return where they were in the trolley tracks, and even if they changed their mind halfway through, they had to go through with the body check, even if it was going to break somebody's neck and paralyze them for the rest of their lives. So we were in our trolley tracks, I think. We just kind of got into the self-publishing thing, and then it became, well, I guess we got to keep talking about self-publishing, even though about halfway through last year, I kind of wanted to change gears and I wanted to do some different stuff, and it just became like, no, this is what you're known for. This is what you do. And it was like, it got to a point where, for me, I'm going back even further. We had other radio shows and podcasts. Why were we doing those?
So that was an effort to market our music stuff.
Okay. So an effort to market.
Yeah, the intention was to talk to musicians, share our music, and benefit other musicians by sharing their music and bringing their audience in to hear our stuff. And
and I
had
a great time. We were over doing that radio show at CHMR here in St. John's, which just got voted just this past week. They shut it down. There's no more CHMR. I mean, that's
they
where
shut down the funding.
They shut down the funding, and I don't know what that means because it's been there for a long, long time. Now, when we were in Portland, Maine, the university radio station was completely funded by fundraising.
Yeah, it was self-contained.
It was self-contained. So it's going to be a period of transition here in St. John's. Whether the station survives, we don't know. But it means that our external studio, where we can bring guests and not worry about shoveling the driveway or salt on the stairs or, someone tripping or getting bitten by one of our dogs, like liability stuff. It was nice to have an external studio. And we were about to, we had a show booked, we had space and time, and we were about to start 2 different shows, actually. We were going to continue the podcast over there and start doing open book interviews, interviewing authors. And we were also going to start a folk music radio show where we were interviewing musicians, because that served both masters for me. That was, okay, I'll continue the publishing stuff and the writing, author stuff. And I could also explore what I wanted to be doing.
Yep.
And so the radio station just got shut down. But it turns out I love broadcasting. I don't know if there's a label to put on that. I love the sound of my own voice. I love my ideas. I think I have a lot to share, and it's completely narcissistic, and I love a microphone in my hand. I love doing stand-up comedy. I love performing. I love sharing my ideas, and I adore getting feedback from people and saying this made a difference, or I started my business, or look, I tried this new marketing thing. Like, that really feeds me. And it feels like, it seemed like one of those things that there was a lot of encouragement for it, and it was going really well. So, but I think the underbelly is you can kind of get into trolley tracks and get locked into a topic. And then it's like, well, you shouldn't change the brand. You shouldn't change what you're doing. There's a whole lot of these internal rules that are like, how did that happen? How did we get there?
Yeah. You don't want to, you're saying you don't want to like disorient the audience or like change, like.
I think it's me. I don't think the people that have been listening to us would care. I think they just enjoy tuning in and having something consistent, and they like us.
One thing we've talked about
us.
is music can also be considered writing and self-publishing.
Of course, yeah.
And then marketing, and all musicians need market. So like even if we are totally changing our focus to music, then there's also self-publishing and marketing there. So it's just a different
I agree, and that's where
tact.
I think we were headed.
Yeah.
And I think just today, on the surface, it's really just another thing about the publishing world just kind of pissed me off, and I just want to vent. So I don't know, guide me. What do you think? Where should we go with this before we jump into the interview with Nancy Kenney? Because people are going to tune into this when we tag Nancy and Annie. I don't. I'd hate for them to.
What if we watch the interview?
We're a couple of jerks. Well, everybody's going to think you're awesome as always, and they're going to be like, "What's wrong with her? She's a bit." She's a bit
What
grumpy.
if we throw to the interview and watch it, and then after the interview, after we've watched it together, wink, we're gonna watch it in real time. Then we'll see at the end. Like, do you want to still talk about the thing that you came down to vent about, or you could just vent right now, whatever you.
Okay, so here's the underbelly of the podcasting and self-publishing world. Podcasting you do for free until there's a sponsor, or maybe there's never a sponsor. And so essentially you're hoping that people will find out about your brand, about what you do, what you're capable of doing, what you do for work, and maybe they'll get in touch and say, hey, I'd like a one-on-one consult. So the podcast itself is not really an issue for me. It's the kind of it's not really, can we cut?
Cut.
Okay, we're back.
All right. Welcome back. That was the easiest.
I just hope that sometimes when I have these experiences and I share them, that maybe somebody else will benefit from hearing
I
about
agree.
it.
I think that's why people
Okay.
listen to podcasts.
So how far back do we go? How far back, how stupid do you want to know I am? Really, like how long do you want to hear about how long I've been stupid? Because that really is what it comes down to for me. I feel like an idiot. I feel like an absolute idiot. I feel I'm very angry. I'm very like, and just ragey, and I don't know where to channel it, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know, because I feel like somebody did something in a back room and I can't talk about it and I'm not supposed to talk about it. Like, well, I'm up for a job and I might have a job at a thing, and like, well, what if somebody finds this podcast? That's where I am, and it's very like that. Isn't that so? If I got a job at a radio station, like an actual paid gig, then I would be very responsible for if I swore on the air or said something about
you got some limits.
Right.
Yeah.
But with a podcast, like that's kind of why I like podcasting, because you can actually be real.
Yeah.
And so if somebody listens to this and like, oh, I was going to hire her to help me with my book, but now I'm not because she gets angry.
Probably not your clientele anyway.
Yeah. So maybe there's someone out there that'll go, or maybe there's thousands of people that'll go, man, I like her though. I like that she's kind of a loose cannon. Am I a loose cannon?
No. What was it Amber Petty was saying last week about clients that are like, she's lost some clients because they're like, you swear too much, or you know, whatever. And she's like, well, fine, see ya.
Yeah. And then there's within reason, because we do have, I do have somebody in mind that listens, and sometimes she listens in her minivan with her kids, and she listens so I have leaned away from swearing on the podcast. But apparently the topics are not a big deal.
Just makes me so ding dang mad.
But I don't. Yeah. But I did kind of temper the swearing a little bit, because it's, you know, just because we have someone that I really do like that I know listens, and sometimes the kids are in hearing range. And I mean, when we hang out together, they're all going to hear swear words, and our kids are going to teach her kids swear words, and it's going to be fine. But just for the podcast's sake, you know, just in case, so she doesn't have to keep her finger on the mute button or anything while she's driving. So anyway. Okay, so here's some advice, or here's a story, and you can take what you want from it. And I've sat in on a couple of sessions over the past few months with people who are, you know, experts in their fields, who are talking about how to charge money for your services. And so I sat in on this session. So there was two of them. One was 2 months ago, and this guy was saying, I charge a big pile of money for my speaking services, and I don't compromise, and, you know, word of mouth gets around that I'm really, really good, and that's really what it comes down to is, are you good at what you do? And people will eventually find out about it. Okay, full stop. That's that guy. Then the next session, and this is a particular group that I was involved with. The next session was this lady who works as a public speaker, a professional speaker, and she said that she had a list of things that she doesn't compromise on. She has like her deal breaker list, and it was a bunch of stuff like, you know, I don't remember. I didn't pay that much of attention because I have a very short attention span. Who cares? You guys aren't going to go check this out. Anyway, one of the things that came up. Who cares? There you go. I graduated.
It's just story time.
I graduated university a lot of times. I did pay attention enough to scrape through and get my diplomas. But when it comes, so anyway, her one of the questions that I asked in the seminar that was being offered was, what do you do when people are asking you to do stuff for free? And this is where I'll share that I am very passive aggressive. I will make myself uncomfortable in a room with people or on a call or whatever to make sure that somebody else doesn't feel bad. And there's probably a couple of people might come across this podcast and say, that's not true. She's kind of a bitch. But generally speaking, I will just chameleon into whatever you want me to be, and I'll agree with pretty much whatever you're saying. And maybe a lot of people don't actually know me. That's kind of a little known secret. I'm very go along with the flow. I don't want to make anybody feel bad or uncomfortable, so I'll go, yeah, I hate that group of people too. I mean, I won't use slurs, but I'll probably at least, I will not speak up and say, you're a blah, blah, blah to somebody's face in the moment. I usually need time to go away and process.
So you were talking about getting paid for your work.
And sticking to your value and not compromising when people are, kind of. So the thing is, there was a person in the call on that seminar that was in process, actively asking me to do stuff for free, and dismissing ideas and suggestions and making me feel about this big, and then asked me to be the guest speaker in their group. And it was like, okay. I mean, I don't really want to talk about publishing and the hook for this guy, who unfortunately I have known for about 25 or 30 years, his hook was, there'll be people there that'll probably hire you to publish their book. Now, I don't publish books. I don't.
So it was exposure.
I was offered some exposure, and instead of saying in the moment, no, because he just got over cancer and he had a whatever, he was constipated that day or whatever, whatever life was throwing at him, I was like, I mean, okay, sure. I mean, I'm not really doing publishing stuff right now, but I'm kind of concentrating on my music. And of course, that was met with, what? I mean, has he ever looked up my music or come to a show? No. But it was like, no, this is what I want from you. So like most men in their late 60s and 70s, white, powerful men, I just went along. And it kind of was eating away at me, and I was complaining to people about it and saying, oh, I got this thing coming up next week and I'm doing this thing. And the guy is telling me that maybe I'll get some clients out of it. And he's kind of been using me, and he kind of wiggled his way into a free 3-hour consult. And he's talking about doing barters and all these things, but I'm not getting anything in return, and I just feel really used. And so I went out with a friend this past weekend, and I was complaining to her about it, and she nailed it. I mean, she absolutely got what was
right to the heart of it.
She got right to the heart of it. She said, why are you whoring yourself out for free? I was like, huh? I don't know.
A little harsh, but okay, let's go with...
I mean, it was absolutely true. Absolutely true. And it was like, because, I mean, assuming that if I was doing work that I loved, it wouldn't matter if I got paid or not. But I think maybe that's the crux of it, is that I don't want to be doing it. And I should have just said, I'm sorry. But I didn't want to turn down an opportunity, and I didn't want to manifest more bad things.
Might be really good exposure.
Whatever. Or maybe I can tell him about my new album. And one of the guys in the group was like a manager at a radio station. And so I was like, maybe he'll hear me just mentioning casually that I want a radio show of my own. Whatever. So instead of speaking up, I let it fester and fester and fester. And I should have said something months ago, and I should have realized that this guy didn't like me when I met him 25 years ago, but for some reason I'm on his radar because he wants something that I have, and he wants it for free. And instead of saying something, I went, sure, of course, yeah, I'll do that. And one of the tricky things that he did was he changed my date. He asked me for a date in April, and then just slid into a
when you were going to do the speaking part yourself.
There was a couple of little things that I found myself correcting. I'm like, no, what do you mean May? I thought you wanted me in April. And all of a sudden I'm arguing for the date that I didn't even want to do. But when he confirmed it, it was like, oh. And so I fell backwards into this opportunity where I might get clients. And I had sat through a seminar, one of their seminars, that was talking about so I asked a question in the group. I said, what do you do when somebody asks you for stuff for free? And this wonderful woman, couldn't tell you her name if you put a gun to my head, but it was something along the lines of, just say that you have a list of organizations that you do pro bono work for every year, and you've already allotted your pro bono hours, and just leave it at that. Like, that's a deal breaker. So I woke up this morning and I was like, money is energy. This is like money for services that you're good at. If you're providing a service to somebody, money is just energy. And so if you're not giving money for services, how can you expect to be successful in the company you're trying to start, whether you want to be a public speaker or an author or a musician, if you're not contributing to the ecosystem of energy being exchanged for services?
You're not putting energy in. How would you get any energy back?
How do you expect to get anything back? So just on an energy basis today, I got up and I was like, you know what? This doesn't feel good. She's right. This is the friend that I had who said, she's amazing, who made that comment. I was like, she's absolutely right. She suggested that I go and ask for a CARFAC rate, which is CARFAC. It's an artistic organization that gives basic fee amounts for a half day or a full day for an artist. And I was like, oh, I couldn't ask for that much. That's way out of my comfort zone. But what I did send was an email saying, actually, I kind of thought about this, and because you've already gotten a number of hours for me for free, my fee for this speaking engagement coming up this week is my basic rate, and I'm happy to do it for a group instead of the one-on-one. But and I'd also, maybe the people in the group should buy one of my books so they know who I am and what I do. And some of the books
that's real exposure.
Some of the books are $5. Sorry, I went up there at the end. Some of the books are $5. No, they are $5.
They're actually $5. Yeah.
If you want to get all the books in one complete guide, it's $19, and it's on all the platforms. And I don't know, when a guest speaker's coming into a group, it seems kind of just polite that they would at least do a Google search of me or have a legitimate question for me for what am I,
totally.
Why am I there? Why would I go give a free tutorial go to my YouTube channel, at least I'll get a couple of views from it.
Yeah. It's not empty exposure. It's actual exposure where they're being exposed to what you have.
Well, there's
to
an
offer.
investment.
Yeah.
There's an exchange of money for goods and services. And again, some of the books are $5, and they're in paperback, ebook, and audiobook format. So, there's lots of options.
Oh, yeah.
So, the dogs are making me anxious. Because I'm afraid they'll tip over the camera. Can you guys stop? Come here, girlies.
Mm-hmm.
Come here. You want to say hi? Hi, baby girls. Okay. See, these are my therapy puppies. I love them. Anyway, so I fired off this email today. I felt so proud of it.
Yeah. It was great.
Copied you on it.
Very
you were like,
professional.
way to go.
Yeah.
And Josh was under the impression that it was going to be effective.
Yeah.
And that I would turn a non-paying gig into a paying gig. But I don't have those magical abilities. There is no amount of manifesting or law of attraction that's going to turn around a train that is barreling towards you. So like the light at the end of the tunnel is a train coming towards you. It's just not, I don't think there's any fixing it. It's not listening to your instincts early on. And that, boys and girls, is the lesson for this week. If it feels bad, it is bad. And there is no turning it around. And if somebody is treating you poorly, there is no magic formula to getting there. I think there's a book over on our shelf. It's called Adult Children of Alcoholics.
One of these. On the shelf, yeah.
That might not be your history, but I think this is a very prevalent way for people to, especially women, who, women, this is how we're trained to not take up space and don't be a bitch and, God forbid you offend anybody. But I fired off that email today. I was very polite and kind, and I said, I listened to the seminar that I sat through, that you arranged, and I think that lady had got a lot of good points, and investing in what I do and doing some research on who I am and making it an actual beneficial period of time. They should know something about me, or why am I there? Anyway, I fired it off and I was very, very proud of it. And what I got back was such a package of gaslighting bullshit that the language was, he misunderstood what I was like, what?
And to be fair, I just want to say that it was effective in getting that person and that baloney out of your life.
Out of my orbit.
So it wasn't effective in that it's like, oh, here's the money that you're asking for. It was effective in, let's put your focus somewhere else because you don't have to worry about this thing anymore because this one's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no fixing it.
Yeah.
It was, like all the ingredients, as far as like if we were baking a cake, we put in the wrong ingredients. There is no way that cake's coming out of the oven tasting good. It was just, but it was just so disappointing. The whole thing was so disappointing. And it was like, I'm still interested in this bartering relationship. And, I'm sorry you misunderstood. Like, what? I misunderstood? Okay. So I'm a little rattled, and it feels like a self-publishing thing, but it's not. It's a people thing. And there's going to be people like that all wherever, any walk of life, wherever you are. And that doesn't mean that if you're not a woman that you don't experience this kind of feeling. I don't mean to put it like it's more than women experience this. It just seems like, I don't know, I guess I had like this, maybe some history with him. Like maybe he was an adult figure when I was in university, and he's just, I don't know, it was just an authority figure, I guess. And I felt like maybe we're peers now, and we're not. We are absolutely not. And he absolutely made that perfectly clear that I am down here and he's up here, and he's a business instructor at a university, and he teaches all kinds. He's a life coach, by the way. He's a life coach.
Which a life coach would tell you, get out of that situation.
It just amazes me when somebody who's doing that kind of work can be abusive, and just the gaslighting was crazy. Anyway.
Hey, doggies. Dogs, we're recording a podcast. Go wrestle somewhere else. Hey, get out of here. Go, get out of here. Go upstairs. Go. They're fine. So
I love that sound they make.
So do you feel better having vented?
No, not at all.
No,
I feel like what a waste of time, and who wants to hear that? And we should have just focused on positive things. So let's
throw to the interview.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit. We're on different pages.
No, I'm just being silly. We are manifesting in our lives the things that we want, and that means sometimes you start off with getting rid of the things you don't want. And that doesn't mean...
We call that in hockey a rebuilding year.
Rebuilding.
So someone loses, someone gets cut out of the playoffs early in the season, or they don't mathematically eliminate it, so those sorts of things. The following year, we take it really easy on the new coach, because obviously the old coach got fired. But it's a rebuilding year, and so you're very gentle. It's a time for making big changes and bringing in new players and... cutting some guys that maybe are, probably at the end of their... Whatever. There's a whole lot of moves, and it's in all sports. There's a whole lot of moves that you expect during a rebuilding year that you kind of give yourself a little bit of leeway. I feel like we've been in... How I feel today, based on that experience, is, I've been in rebuilding years. And I'm on a frequency of low energy, low worth, powerlessness, rage, what's that when you can't express it? It's just like... Disenfranchised anger and frustration. And how can I be having a conversation with somebody about law of attraction and power and manifesting and doing things you love, and I just got through this terrible experience and now I'm going to live life better? And it's like, right. So how about let's go to all these people who make over $100,000 a year and maybe ask if they can pitch in $20 to pay my fee.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't even ask. Yeah. So I'm left with, well, I just want to do all these really childish things. Like I want to email everybody on that list and say, just so you know, the reason I'm not going to be there on Thursday is because your guy here has been getting free consults from me and picking my brain for hours and hours and hours for free. And he wouldn't even ask you guys if you'd pay for this or invite you to buy one of my books. He didn't even give me the opportunity. So I feel like something happened in a back room and I'm not allowed to tell anybody about it. And I think we're going to save the Nancy Kenney interview, because I would hate for people to come on looking for her interview and just hear this, because this is really, I gotta be honest, crappy negative stuff.
Based on the interview that I remember you doing with Nancy Kenney that we're going to see, she would agree. And so would Annie. That you did the right thing and got to get out of those. So seriously, I think it goes right along with what you talked about.
I mean, the play really lines up with what just happened. Yeah, the play was absolutely amazing, and I hope she makes a whole movie and TV series out of it. She was amazing. And it did feel like sitting in that audience, I mean, I felt like, I use this analogy a lot, like an MRI, because from what I understand about MRIs is that every cell in your body is basically pointing, and that's how I felt when the curtain went down. There was no curtain, but when the play was over, I felt like every cell in my body was vibrating. I just felt so in tune with what she had written that I just wanted to meet her. I wanted to talk to her. I was too intimidated to talk to her that night. So I went to Annie, who was her dramaturge, and I asked Annie to talk to Nancy for me. And she did. And like later that evening, they both got in touch and said,
the next day
absolutely. And we were over there talking to them. We were with them the next day. And they were just brilliant, beautiful human beings and so encouraging. And it wasn't like, no, I'm up here because I've done all these things and you're just starting out. It was actual peers. And I don't know if it's the art world or creatives or if you just find your people, but it really felt good. So the self-publishing thing, so if you've been listening for a while or if you're brand new, I think the direction is going to be a little bit more in the indie self-publishing marketing world, which was kind of what we were geared for anyway.
Yeah.
It's only when somebody pigeonholes it.
That's the same as, like I said, what we're doing with the music. We're doing indie recording and yeah. I think it's perfect.
There just seems like a different direction. And the indie self-published kind of idea is that you don't need to wait around for somebody to give you permission to be an artist. That there's ways to learn to record yourself. There's ways to put out your own podcast. And, maybe that's I don't know if we'll ever be millionaires doing it that way, but it's certainly more... I don't think I'm equipped to work at a 9-to-5 job. I tried a lot of them, and I'm just not. That's just not my.
But you have control, and it's more artistically fulfilling to do your own thing.
You can create what you want.
Independent.
Yeah, and I don't think it's hurting anybody. I think it's just it keeps the keeps the train on the tracks. It keeps the analogy. It keeps everything lined up and keeps me creating and happy and having the outlet to say this is a thing that happened this week. I don't know if that's of any benefit. Please reach out if you think this was of benefit. If it offended you in some way, keep it to yourself. Stuff that down. But I think being human. Is there a plan? Am I trying to get people to sign up to hire me to consult them on publishing? No. I'm not. I'm actually not. It's kind of okay that we've had the clients that we've had. Have we had a bunch of tire kickers? Absolutely. Yes. There was actually a woman that got in touch from one of the boot camps last year. And she had, a lot of money. A lot of money. And she was working on a book. And she got in touch after taking my boot camp and fell in love and really liked me and thought I was great. And then said, that's it. I'm ready to publish my book. And I said, all right, so, and it was a gaslighting situation where, I didn't realize you would charge me. Well, if I come to your practice, you'd charge me to do an hour with you. She was a doctor. Yeah. So, it was kind of funny because you get in these situations and it's wait, all of a sudden you become this money grubbing person that's if I'm not making money, I don't want to do it. And that's just not the case. I think sometimes stuff just feels off. And yeah.
And I think that's just another situation where somebody was quickly spun out of your life because they weren't matching up with what you actually want. So we're getting rid of the things that you don't want.
I think the idea of somebody saying, hey, can we be friends and you tell me everything that you know about this industry and can you do it for free? And it's could you at least buy a book? Throw me a bone here so at least you are getting the information that I've said 100 times. At least read that first and then you could ask questions and I'm more than happy to sit with you. But it just seems like going up to a magician and saying, can you teach me everything? That show was great. Show me all your tricks. And I think any magician worth his salt would say, these are what's the word? Copyrighted. These are things that people have worked on for years and years. It's actually
intellectual property.
It's intellectual property that people have worked really hard to perfect. And no, I'm not going to hand you all the keys to the castle. Now, we're also putting out videos on YouTube and we have all the tutorials and all those things. Go listen to my podcast. Subscribe to the podcast. Listen on Apple. Leave a review. Give me something that says... But I don't listen to your podcast. What? And you've never, okay. So that's this just might be where my brain is, but it's like going up to a stripper and saying, look, how about I just, sit here with you after work and maybe you just do some dances for me for free. That's what it feels like. No, I do this for a living. I know stripping is but that's a profession too. These people are really, really good at what they do. I couldn't do that on a pole. And I don't have that kind of confidence and I certainly don't have that body. So, but that's a profession and they're really good at it and they make a ton of money. So if I went up to somebody and said, look, I'd like to make a few bucks on the side. Can you just show me how you do that upside down thing with your leg? They would say, absolutely, honey, for a fee.
Yeah.
And I would go, ugh, what is money the only thing that's important to you? And they would say, for the thing that I do for money?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess we should, how long have we been talking now?
About 45 minutes.
All right. So we got...
That's your time. Time for the interview.
I'm going to share one thing before we go to Nancy that I saw on Instagram. And it said, if you are in a state of cringe, the solution is not to stop doing the things that make you cringe. It's to destroy the part of you that cringes. And I think last week we had Amber Petty on, and she said very similar things. It's the weirdness is what makes you unique and special, and it's okay. Why would you hide that for anybody? And your people will find you no matter how weird you are. There's somebody for everybody. And this wonderful invention that is the internet means you can reach out to the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe people that speak different languages aren't going to love you, but because they can't understand what you're saying, and that's okay. But the people who do speak your language, they're going to find you.
Yeah.
And they have to be able to find you. So you can have all the great ideas in the world, but if you don't share them, if you don't put them out, and you don't say, as Amber said, you have to tell them it's available for sale, and you have to tell them what you do.
Yep.
And you don't have to be viral, you had to be findable.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're thinking about starting a podcast, or if you're thinking about writing a song, or writing a play, or writing a book. So this is it. I do come around. If you can stay with me for the whole therapy
and
session.
we're here.
Exactly. But it does come around to your stories matter, and you're not here to make other people happy. You're here to make yourself happy, and then you're actually of service to everybody else around you when you're happy, because you vibrate at this frequency, and everybody wants to be a part of that. So your kids are happier, your dogs are happier, your partner, you're happier. Even if you're completely single and you live in a lighthouse in the middle of nowhere, the world is better when you find things that make you happy. And so anything that takes away, it's your time hours, money hours and time hours. If somebody does something that makes you feel crappy, you're wiped. For me, I was wiped out this whole afternoon, and I was waiting for I want to feel better. I just want to feel better. And it was like, I just need to get it out. I need to talk about it. That's it. And so when you look at the hours, I should send that guy an invoice for a minimum of 5 hours, because that's what he cost me, when I should have said, it's my own fault. I should have said no in the beginning. It felt off from the beginning, and that was my mistake. So learn from my mistake, kids. Say no when it feels bad.
Fair.
And there'll be other boats. There will be other opportunities coming along, and you don't have to say yes to the things that feel really crappy. And to give you a background, I'm not just, this is not just some guy off the street. This is someone that, there's history. I wanted to be his friend years ago because he was like a motivational speaker, life coach guy, and I was like, that guy's magnetic, but he's not. He's actually the opposite, and he didn't want anything to do with me for the last 2.5 decades, but for some reason I got on his radar, and now he wants all my knowledge. He wants me to just tell everybody. He wants me to tell him everything that I know.
It doesn't work like
with
that.
nothing in return, and it was like I kind of had this in the back of my mind going, but you never used to like me. Like, you never gave me the time of day before, and like, this is really, I mean, I guess I'm supposed to be really grateful that now you discovered I have talent, and like, it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm just old and grumpy.
I don't think so,
but
I think that's fair.
I think going forward for me, just the fact that I have embarrassed myself enough on this podcast today just to talk about all this stuff, like, that's enough motivation to go the next time. I think I'm just going to start saying to people, look, my listeners on the podcast don't need to hear about this later.
We have accountability to our listeners.
Yes, and in the interest of them getting valuable information on our podcast, I'm not going to waste my time or energy on this particular thing, and I'm going to move on to other things that feel good.
Perfect.
So, but I do have there was a lot of really great things that happened this weekend. I feel like a butterfly, like what are they? The caterpillar coming out of the chrysalis. Like, it has been a really, really good few weeks, and we've got some really exciting projects coming up. We got funding for some great stuff that's coming up, and we'll talk all about that next week. But see, things are good, and this experience knocked me down and put me back in bed today, why did I give somebody else that power over me?
Yeah.
That's why I'm so mad. And then the law of attraction stuff was playing in my head, like, but if you talk about it, you're going to manifest more of that stuff. And it's like, you know what? Maybe all the religious leaders and all the gurus can just go to the same side of the room right now and just give me a minute, because I just think talking about it and building a community, because we're all in it, and I don't think anybody's getting it right every day, right? God, please tell me not everybody's out there not getting it right every day, and it's not just me.
No, I don't. I think that's it. This is being an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you get a chance, keep an eye out. So we got an interview here with Nancy Kenney and Annie Valentina, and they are just absolutely brilliant. Nancy has done they've got some really great stuff in the works. I'll let Nancy tell you about that. And thank you for listening to Are You Mad at Me? Stay tuned for the interview with Nancy. Both women are absolutely fantastic. And thank you, Josh, again for being my sounding board and for producing and doing all the posters and the thumbnails and all. We're going to try a little trick this week and see if it works. We saw a tip on YouTube that if you want to grow your YouTube channel, that there's a little trick to it. If you have 5 pieces of content all together and you schedule 4 of them to go at exactly the same time, to post at exactly the same time, and then post your 5th piece,
which is the one you want them to see first.
Is it? I don't remember that part. So that's why you're going to do all that. But it was something about we're going to post 5 pieces. 4 of them are going to schedule for the exact same time. So like maybe some clips from the podcast. And then the 5th one, you post 5 minutes later, but they all link back to the first 4.
Yeah.
And so apparently that's a way to show up in the algorithm on YouTube. And we're going to give that a try this week because it might work. And we want more listeners. Ultimately, I wouldn't care. I mean, I shouldn't say this out loud, but I wouldn't care if we never make a penny from this podcast. I would be more than happy to have a show that people like, that they're listening to, that they're sharing, they're commenting on, they're engaging, they're learning, they're, part of the community. I love broadcasting.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing this. I absolutely love broadcasting. And so that's where we're headed. So let's try that out. Let's try that little YouTube trick and see if it works. And it is a trick. We've been doing the content. We've been doing the work. And if there's a little boost like that we can find from a clip or from someone else's advice that they provided for free, let's see if it works. And let's see if we can't get... How many subs are we at right now?
I don't know. Thousands, probably.
Well, there's a lot. So we're on a lot of different platforms also.
Yeah. Well, I think on YouTube there's 120 or something like that. That's a guess.
So our goal is 1,000. We
There you
want
go.
1,000 subs.
1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, that's the magic number I know on TikTok that you can do like lives after that and things. And so just on the YouTube channel, I don't know about Spotify or the audio only, but for YouTube, which is where that's where I want to be. Like I want that little trophy eventually, the 1 million subscribers. That's where I'm headed. That's what I ultimately, and if I would just stop starting over, maybe I would be there already. But I have about 50 YouTube channels, and I have about 15 profiles on Instagram, and I have about 7 TikTok. But it's because this isn't working. I guess I'll quit it, and that's why I don't want to give up on self-publishing.
Yeah,
because it's like, well, maybe I was just about to break through. I'm like, break through to what? I have my books. I have already published what I want to publish, and if there's another one comes along, I will write another one. But right now, I have another album that I want to do. I have a play that is 75%. Ready to workshop. And so, like there's things that I want to move on to, and self-publishing is always going to be a part of my life. And, I'm happy to help people. I'm happy to give the information on the podcast, but if you want my one-on-one time, that's valuable to me.
Bingo.
And so it should be valuable to you too, if you're asking me for free consults. And no, I don't do those. I don't. But you can listen to the podcast. You can consume 58 hours of our podcast and get all the information.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cause we've got some long
for 2
ones,
hours.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we're going to do the interview with Nancy and Annie, and then we'll come back and sign off at the end, and then, hopefully...
And you'll put into the notes if you just want to fast forward through all this and just jump to Nancy's interview. Nancy and Annie, right?
No, people have to find it. That's it.
Thank you to Nancy and Annie, and thanks for listening to Are You Mad at Me? I'm Vicki Morgan, and we're going to...
I'm Josh Morgan, and we're going to come back. I just told you we're going to sign off at the end, so don't be signing off now.
Did you guys hear that? Did you hear him say that? I didn't hear him say that.
What is happening here?
I don't have Again... short attention span. And look, this is the magic. This is why we've been married for 20 years. It's because I don't listen.
We'll be back. Here's Nancy and Annie.
I'm Vicki Morgan, and I'm joined by, I can't even tell, I'm so excited. Oh my God. I had like an out-of-body experience just last night here in St. John's, Newfoundland with Nancy Kenney and Annie Valentina. Oh my God. And so this is also a plug if you ever want to start a podcast, is you get to go up and talk to your heroes, and you get to ask them questions that normally, like if I just went up to these people on the street and be like, back off. But because it's a podcast, I get to sit down and come to the Airbnb and actually meet you guys because you're in St. John's for the Women's Work Festival. So Nancy Kenney and Annie Valentina, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. So I felt last night I had the pleasure of sitting in a play reading of I Don't Feel Pretty by Nancy Kenney, dramaturgy by Annie. And I felt at the end of that, this is a self-publishing thing, I promise this is going somewhere, but I felt like I had an MRI last night. At the end of that show, I felt like every single cell in my body was pointed in the exact same direction. It was just, I couldn't speak. My husband was sitting next to me. He went and got me water. It was so amazing. And so I went, I have to meet her. Like, I have to talk to these folks. So tell me about So right now you're in St. John's for the Women's Work Festival, and it's to do a reading. Can you tell me the journey of that play, of that one-woman play that you did last night? I know you started in 2019. How did we get to 2026 and you're being flown into St. John's to do a reading of it?
Oh my gosh. Well, I will say that creating theater is not a continuous process. So it's not like I've been working on it every day since 2019 to get to this point, but it's been through a lot of different workshops and iterations, and having the chance to write pieces of my work, get actors or have myself read it out loud for people, gauge reactions and be able to see like what's working, what's not working, and continue on with that. And so for this piece, I mean, the last major workshop we had was Annie and I in 2023. That's actually when we started working together on this piece, solely because I needed a dramaturge, and I love Annie's work, which is why I wanted to bring her on board. We did a workshop with 5 women. And I learned so much from that workshop. But once that workshop was done in 2023, it was like, okay, what now? And the problem is money and funding. And so I searched around, I pitched, I tried to get other people on board, and everyone was always very interested and very positive, but no one has any money. So it's taken that long to get to this point. So when this opportunity with the Women's Work Festival came up, I applied. And actually, this was my 3rd time applying with this piece, because it got turned down the first 2 times. Not because it's bad. In fact, I got very lovely emails in response saying, we really liked your piece. We just don't have the funds to bring you in. So that brings us to today, where the stars aligned, and here I am. Here we are.
So what's it like to have your creation in front of you with people? Like, obviously you're staging it, so you're ready for feedback and you're ready to present it. But what is it like in the workshop stage when there's actual, I'm going to say constructive feedback, hopefully, but how is it to let it go? Like, how do you let the piece go and let it become what it's supposed to be, and the polish and all those things? Like, how do you let go of it emotionally to allow that to happen?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to leave you with that one.
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting question, because that's sort of where having a strong relationship with the dramaturge comes in, right? And I'm also a playwright, so I've been on the other side of this, and I know how, especially when it's still very much in progress and it's raw, and there's, inevitably there's always some personal stuff that ends up in the work that we write. And it's so vulnerable, right? To kind of show it to someone and be like, here's my baby, here's my creative child. Now tell me what's wrong with it, right? is essentially what it feels like. But actually I was in a workshop from the other side of things where I was a playwright some years ago, and I heard someone describe dramaturgy as being kind of like the person that when you've built a house and you've built it from the inside out, so you actually can't tell if all the different parts of the house are doing what they're supposed to do, and you're bringing in someone who can see it from the outside and say, oh, that door opens onto a wall, or that staircase goes nowhere, right? And that I thought was such a perfect analogy for what the relationship is when you have a functional positive collaboration with someone who you trust, who can look at it and both kind of validate your choices and build you up and make you feel like you're doing a great job, but also catch you in the places where you're maybe not able to see that it's not quite there.
So I'm caught on the child analogy because I feel like it's taking a kid into like a kindergarten assessment and saying, which school should I send this kid to so that they can reach their absolute best potential? And I chose to homeschool when I took my first kid to that assessment. So you guys are clearly friends outside of the theater world. How do you wear the hats? Like, how do you decide when the hat's going on, that it's dramaturge time, and it's like that you're not hanging out, having a drink on a Saturday evening. And oh, by the way, I thought of something for your play. Like, how do you keep it, and do you keep those boundaries in place?
To be fair, when we're hanging out on a Saturday evening having a drink, it usually comes up. The work comes up anyway.
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. It's like, by the way, I thought of this.
Okay.
So that does happen, but honestly, in the work environment, I don't. We're both professionals, and we just go at it. It's so funny. I've never even thought of that. Like, it's always just like, la 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 la, and now this, and it's just it's never been an issue. But I think that comes back to, I was on a panel earlier this week for the festival where I talked about dramaturgy, and I related it to dating, where you actually, like, I feel that it has to be the right fit. So sometimes you'll have to go through a couple people before you find the right fit. And once it's the right fit, that's when I think it's so much easier. Like, there isn't, the communication style matches, the ideas, the value systems, like all those kinds of things. Like, if we both know what direction we're going in, then it works. And so there's no problem that way. I don't know. That's how I see it.
Do you think it helps a lot that Annie's a playwright as well? I feel like as an artist, when someone is like a radio DJ and they're spinning my new tune and they don't make any music, and it's like, ugh. But I love working with people who are in the trenches and doing the same work. And I feel like there's more sensitivity there, maybe in the way they communicate or how they present it or how they kind of give you that hamburger of compliment, criticism, compliment. Like, they just seem to get it a little bit more instead of somebody who is not in the arena and not creating as well. So do you think it helps that Annie's also a playwright?
Probably. I probably.
Or she's probably just a good person.
There's that too. I think what actually helped even more is because Annie's going to direct this play as well. So I think there's like, we're already talking like about a visual language at times as well. So I think that also helps quite a bit. And I've always liked having, especially with some of my new works, I've always worked with a director dramaturge, where it's the person who is dramaturging the piece is also going to direct the piece.
Okay.
And for me that works because I find it's like you know the story, like we've worked on this together, and we both know where we're going with this. So I think that's what works even more. Okay. Plus good person, good vibes, like you have to have that.
I think I'm just learning what dramaturge means. I heard it a few years ago, and I was like, it sounded really invasive, and someone's going to pick apart the script and tell you. Like, I think I heard something from a Newfoundland play where it was like checking the historical facts, like the facts. Yuck, like it's a creation. Like, why would anyone want to pick it apart? And it just kind of made me not want to write plays, because if that's what's going to happen if we get to that stage. And then so it seems like there's a structure in place for staging a play where there's like, not just you write it and you rent a space and you put actors in there. It seems like there's this whole other industry that happens of workshops and lots of other eyes looking at your script and those things. It sounded to me like the way they described you last night was that you bootstrapped some of your stuff, that you just went and did it, some stuff just on your own instead of waiting for the permissions and waiting for the committees to decide and that stuff.
And the money.
So tell me about money. Is that tell me.
Why, do you have some? Can I have some from you?
You can have everything I have in my pocket right now. But that is the funniest thing, because there are, I spent a lot of time in the US where there is no Canada Council. There is no provincial arts funding. I don't know how people become artists in the US. I really don't know how they fund it. And it's private funders, where there's I had a friend just a couple of days ago who doesn't want to come to a show that I'm doing, but he's this big corporate dude, and he's like, I don't go on the evenings. And I was like, well, I'm applying for a whole bunch of funding from a bunch of provincial agencies. Maybe you could help. But it seems like there is private funding. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Is it what kind of money do you need when it comes to you hire an actor to do a reading at a table? What dramaturge? It's and the reason I asked about the boundaries is what kind of price could you possibly charge where it's okay to have that relationship and talk about it all the time? Because artistic world stuff is very small pay, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a token most of the time. It's not nearly a full-time job. It's not an hourly wage. So what kind of money are we talking about when it comes to producing if you're comfortable talking about that?
Absolutely.
What kind of money are we talking about? Like what sort of budget do you need? So just imagine you just finished a play and you want to see what it looks like on stage, or you want to have people read it at a table. What kind of money do you need?
Yeah. Okay. If you want to see a play on stage, I did a budget a couple years ago for another play of mine, a one-person show. And if I wanted to do this play and pay everyone a living wage based on, I'm in Halifax, so based on the rates of what you need for a living wage in Halifax, and have 3 weeks at a 70-seat theater, 75-seat theater. If I did the full budget, that came up to $65,000. And that is a one-person show. Now,
and does that pay you? Do you get paid?
Yes, and that is including me getting
paid.
That's
a 3-week run. So that's rehearsals.
No,
and
well, that is
performances.
a 3. Yes, so 2-week run and a 1-week tech rehearsal.
Oh my God! And so that doesn't count the rehearsals leading up to.
It does not count the rehearsals leading up to.
Okay.
Now, that is if everyone is fully properly paid. Now, you said, does that include me being paid? If I cut most of that out, if I don't pay myself as a producer, as a writer, as the performer, if I reinvest my fees, which is the other fancy way we get around stuff, is I will reinvest my fee, all of those things while I was applying for grants. So I apply for grants with the big budget, knowing that if I trimmed everything back, I could do it for $30,000. And that is me not getting paid. That is underpaying a lot of people. That is getting people to volunteer their time, do in-kind support, that kind of stuff. That's what we're looking at. Now, even before that, when I was doing fringe festivals all the time, and now here I'm talking like if I removed sets, if I just messed with the lights myself, if I just use my own clothes, that kind of stuff, I would do fringe shows for maybe $5,000, and I'm like highballing it here for a one-person show. Like you could as a one-person show, the script, you could walk into a space that maybe someone donated to you and hopefully sell some tickets. But the thing is, everything costs money. Like you want to sell the tickets, well, the ticketing platform is going to charge you a fee for every ticket that you sell. Right. The venue might take a percentage of that, or they're going to charge you to use the venue. The technician who is going to be operating the lights is, going to be a fee. And again, all of that is without me paying myself as a writer, an actor, a producer, like all of the other work that I've put in. So if everyone was getting paid $65,000, and that is also lowballing.
Yeah. And the $5,000 number. So let's imagine that you're a typical actor who's working a job in a restaurant as a server, making possibly minimum wage, probably not much better than that. How long would it take to save up $5,000 so you could bootstrap it yourself? It's just, how many plays could you put off in a year if you had to save up $5,000 for yourself?
I used to have a full-time job, and that would help me pay for a lot of the productions that I would be doing. One of my best analogies for this, where I did learn, I had received a grant from a theater company. It was $1,000 for me to write a draft. And they were like, we're so sorry, it's so little, but that's what we have. And I was like, thank you. And they're like, we would love to help you with a workshop. As we proceed, do you have money, assigned, meaning like, did I have grants already? Did I have anything like that? And I just went, oh, I have $1,000. And they went, no. We gave that to you. That is your fee. But I was so used to always doing it myself that I was like, well, I'll just reinvest that, and I'll work a couple extra hours at work so that I can make this happen. People really don't understand how much it costs to me. And then on top of that, when you're selling tickets, the cost of the ticket sales will never
come close.
Cover
not even close
your budget.
Of course.
It will never, ever come close to that. Especially because when you're making a budget, you often, as a theater person, you're told to like bank to have like 35% of your tickets sold when you're doing your budget. That's a reasonable estimate.
Okay. So if it's all right, 30% of the seats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the other thing in self-publishing, because obviously you make so much money from publishing your own book. Fives and fives of dollars, I'm sure. Tell me about self-publishing a play, because I didn't even realize that was a possibility.
Yeah.
So tell me about, and it's called Roller Derby Saved My Soul.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it available?
It's available on my website.
Okay.
nancykenney.ca or .com. Both of them work.
Okay.
I have a shop, and you can buy the play there. Yeah. It was basically when I finished writing the play, and even then I have this published version that if I don't want to look at it, because if I start looking at it, I'll start nitpicking. But I didn't know what to do with the play after it was done. I just knew I had lots of friends who had plays that were published, and I didn't know how you do that. Some of them were like, oh, someone from a press, like from a literary publishing house came to see the play and asked to publish it. And I was like, oh, well, okay. So I didn't know how to do that. Mm-hmm. And because I was a touring performer, I was doing a lot of the fringe circuit. And one of the ways that I could help finance producing my shows was merchandise. Mm-hmm. I just found a company online to publish the script. So they gave me their costs, and I had someone help me actually do the layout of it to make it work in the formatting that this company had. Okay. I hired someone to design a cover, and I researched. I got an ISBN number for it. Mm-hmm. And then I just sent and then I had multiple people look at the drafts to make sure there wasn't any mistakes in it. And I sent it to this company and ordered 200 copies that I would then travel around with and sell for $15.
So if you don't mind sharing, how much was it for the cover and the formatting?
Oh,
how much did you pay to get your book published?
Gosh, that I don't remember because it was so long ago, and I'm sure the costs are completely different now. However, I would say, like, make sure it's really easy to get an ISBN number yourself. Mm-hmm. Make sure you get that, and then after that, I also sent it to Library and Archives Canada, so the book is
You're like the model
preserved.
Self-publisher. So do you still own the rights to all that stuff?
Of course.
So you
I would never give up my rights to anything.
So you have a stack of books at your house?
I do have a stack of books at my house.
And you need to mail them. So you sell them for $15, and then you pay for shipping yourself?
Correct.
You pay for shipping yourself?
Yes.
Bless your heart.
By the way, it's $15 plus HST.
Plus HST. Okay, so are you averse to having it on platforms or having it as an ebook?
I have it as an ebook. It is available.
And how much is your ebook on your website?
I believe on my website it's $5 for the ebook.
And what platform? So what platform do you use to sell your ebook?
It's all of them. I found a digital distributor, and they put it out there, and they have it out in the world on various platforms. You can find it.
Is that Drafted Digital?
Yeah, Drafted Digital. That's the one, actually.
So if somebody picked up your play in Australia and wanted to stage it or mount it, what's the fee that there's something built in? They would have to pay you to mount your play,
It would be through me. It does say when you open the play, because I have all those rights, like the copyright and all that kind of stuff. And it does say for production rights, they have to email me directly. Okay. So I don't have an agent or anyone like that. So it would actually be an email sent to me. Yes.
Well, you're ready to scale. You're ready for when it explodes that you're going to be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm actually, hot tip. I'm actually trying to turn the show into the play into a TV show at the moment. So,
is that already happening?
I have a pilot. I'm
already made.
The pilot is written, and I just need the right team. So if anyone's listening,
I hate to say this, it burns me, but Bell 5 is looking for stuff like that. Have you got?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to do it as a Bell 5. It's a roller derby show. I love Bell 5. I absolutely love Bell 5 and the opportunities that you can have with Bell 5.
Yeah.
But there's not enough money, and I want to actually show roller derby games on TV.
Okay.
So
and have you? So the Women's Film Festival, when they do it here in St. John's, is all these people get together, like all these industry people come down. You can is there anything similar in Halifax?
There is the Atlantic International Film Festival.
Of course.
And so there's lots of events. We also have Screen Nova Scotia in Halifax, which is great and has lots of events and ways to meet with people. I've done their producer networking events before.
And there's an American show. Mark Maron did it. Where there's a similar show in the U.S.
Glow. You're thinking the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. Not roller derby. That's the Mark Maron show.
Wasn't there roller derby in that? I feel like they bet the crap out of each other. Weren't they on rollerblades?
Yes. No, not on rollerblades. Wrestling.
I can already see this show then. Like this is all.
I know.
This already exists. You're just lining up with the details, right? So you have so many projects going on. I love the self-publishing story because that is like one way to do a self-published book is to have a press send you 200 copies. I go through Amazon and we do print on demand.
I didn't want to do Amazon because I was worried, because they hide so much in the terms and conditions with Amazon, and I didn't want them to take or own any of my intellectual property.
They won't, and you can also now, Barnes & Noble has also come on board, and they do print on demand as well. And you get
very cool.
Your rights are all completely yourself. I just wrote a book called How to Be a Famous Sexy Writer, and it's a guide to self-publishing, and it covers all that stuff. It's all the barriers. As an artist, you can only wear so many hats, and so if you're in marketing mode, creation mode, acting, you're also an actor, right? And producer and director and all the things.
I'm not a director.
You're not a
That's
director?
the one thing I don't do. I don't. No.
Okay, so now I'm just going to take the opportunity because we're running out of time. I loved your play last night so much. Like that, I walked away from it, and this is what festivals should be able to do for artists who are sitting in the audience. It should inspire you to feel like I could do that. It should be accessible, right? Not like it was just such a the connection that, and I know I wasn't the only person. There was people all around me. Just I could tell they felt exactly the same way, and it was like, this is what theater is. This is possible. Like it's possible to make people feel like they're sitting in the audience. And it, like, hats off to your acting ability and to your script was brilliant, but your acting skills were like, holy shit. It was so good. It was so in the moment, and it was like, and then you're just a regular person. Like you came out of that character and you were talking to people, and it was like, holy shit, that's possible. I don't know if it'd be possible to make a script and act and perform it as well, but it made things so accessible, and I walked away from there just buzzing and talking to my husband on the way home, and I was like, and you sound so inspired. So thank you for that gift. And it wasn't just about, oh, she's so brave. It's what you were talking about. It was the accessibility of being a playwright and being brought to St. John's and performing and having your friend as a dramaturge who you have a bond with. And it made everything so possible. That's what I...
Thank you.
That's not really a question, I know. Okay, we got to wrap this up. What would be your advice to somebody? So I've done a whole... This is... my therapy session. I've been doing.
That's what we're here for. We're on the couch.
I've been doing a bunch of different things throughout my life creatively, and just last year, decided I had this idea that I wanted to write a play, and then it turns out that I've done acting classes and I've done screenwriting courses and university level, and I've done community classes too, and it was like, I couldn't write a play. Oh my God, that's crazy. What would be your advice to somebody sitting in the audience that has an idea for a play and seems like it's just this big industry where you need to go through all the steps? What would you say to that person who wants to sit at their laptop and write or finish a play? What would be your advice?
Well, first of all, it sounds so cliche, but just do it. Because that whole idea of there's an industry that you have to get involved, I have never believed that. Because the thing is, I've never had doors just fly open for me. I'm not that person. Some people have that happen, and that's wonderful for them. But, get solid on, get okay with rejection, because the number of times I've gotten rejection, like I said, for this festival, I was rejected twice before I got in. It honestly is about just doing it and just starting something. For me, the blank page is the most overwhelming thing in the world. So you kind of have to just start and get that out of the way.
I feel like talking about a blank page implies that you didn't sit down with an idea. And if you have to do this as work, or you have to produce something by next month or whatever, that's, I feel like, where the blank page happens. I feel like I sit down with, there's an idea first. And a lot of people say, oh, I have a book idea, or I have a different idea. And it's like, have you written any of it down? So how about you? Any advice on someone who has a spark of an idea for a play and wants to, just wondering how possible it would be?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo everything that Nancy said. I think not taking small tentative steps, but kind of leaping into it. Because there's a thing we often say in playwriting, which is that a first draft does not have to be good. It just has to get written, right? You can make it good later. If you're starting off trying to make it good, you'll just get caught up in kind of self-editing as you go. And then it doesn't happen, right? Because we're all our own worst critics. But in terms of if you're a writer who has not written in the medium before, and you're just wondering if you can wrap your head around the whole idea of writing for theater, I would say my best advice is just go see theater, and then also read scripts, because reading a script is very different from reading, a narrative, a novel, or so by seeing something on stage and then reading it on the page, you sort of begin to understand, kind of just to grasp how much of theater is about what's not said, right? And so I think that that's really the best kind of intro course to playwriting, if you will.
Shows.
Yeah, just watch shows and then read scripts.
Annie, where can we find your work? Where can people find you online?
Oh, geez. Well, I don't have a website. Probably should. But I am on Instagram. Just my first and my last name.
What kind of work do you have available that you need production, that you need money for? What's the next thing you want money for?
So I am shopping around a script that I have written called From Stardust that is currently on the market. I am also a gigging director, freelancing director, so I am frequently available for hire, and I also do dramaturgy.
And you're based in Montreal?
Based in Montreal at the moment.
Bilingual. You're both bilingual, right?
I'm not.
You're not. Oh, right.
Well, I'm trilingual, in fact.
Trilingual, right.
None of them are French.
Oh, gotcha.
But I am based in Montreal, and I do also work out of Halifax quite a bit, so I kind of have a...
languages. Who knows who's listening?
I also speak Norwegian and Bulgarian, if useful for any reason to anyone.
Well, that's good for translating stuff, right? Too.
It's true.
There's so many. I'm already going. We could do a play in Bulgarian. You guys are amazing. I wish we had so much more time. And yes, question for you too.
Oh yeah. I'm an actor. I'm in Halifax. I'm an actor, so I'm always looking for acting work. I am a proud union member, so it has to be a union project. But I work in English and in French. I'm also a playwright, and I am also shopping around. I Don't Feel Pretty, Je suis pas cute, as well as some of my other plays. And I also produce film and TV works as well. So if anyone has any film and TV writing jobs, as well as acting work, I'm very interested in those.
I'm having an MRI moment again. I just want to do all the things and call you guys for all of it. It's just...
And just pay for our travel and accommodations, and we'll come back to St. John's.
So if you miss the show in St. John's, I don't know what you're doing with your life that wouldn't have you in St. John's. This is where you should be. You missed it, and find it in your city. Wherever you see these shows, seriously, go out and see them. You folks are just... amazing, absolutely amazing. Thank you for doing this. And again, I'm going to shout out, if you want to do a podcast or a radio show, it's how you get to meet your heroes, because you can ask them for an interview and you get to ask them the questions that you really want to know. And who knows, there's someone out there manifesting you and your story too. So when you're thinking those things, there's probably a whole lot of other people that are asking the same questions. So thank you, Nancy and Annie, for being here. And thank you for watching. And
wasn't that hilarious?
So
Wait, did it end on something funny?
I don't know.
We probably shouldn't.
We went back to the tape, and it turns out Josh did actually say that we were going to come back. So anyway, here we are, and I am going to listen better. I'm going to listen better in the future. I'm going to be a good little wife. How about that? Are you mad at me?
Thanks for tuning in to season 2, episode 2 of the Are You Mad at Me podcast.
Yes, and keep writing. Please keep writing. And we're in this together. And if you have those experiences where people are not very nice to you, tell us about them. What the hell? Start your own podcast.
Start your own freaking podcast.
I mean, I'll tell you, I will give you some tips and tricks about like not mentioning particular names, or you don't want to get sued. You don't want to be liable for stuff, but you can speak in general terms and vent and find your community. And what are we doing? Did I build our business today? Build our brand? I don't know. But I can tell you, after listening to Nancy and Annie, I am working on my play this afternoon. That's how I'm spending the rest of my day today.
All right.
And until it's finished, I saw something from Amy McNee, who I love. She's an Instagram artist, and she's like an influencer, but she does that stuff. She posted something the other day, and she said, here's a note to artists. Finish something. All those projects that you got going on, just finish one of them. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just finish one of them and just get it done. She said it breaks her heart how many people don't finish their projects because they're not sure which one is the perfect one to go forward. So I'm going to work on my play, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, we could also, let's do the play.
You just pick something. We're going to be back next week, and we'll see how all this went.
Yeah, it's not going to be done next week, but there'll be some stuff. There'll be new stuff next week, and that's the whole thing. It's a creative life, and it is exactly how we want it to be. So, and thank you to that guy who provided the material this week. I hope he tuned in. I hope he recognizes himself in it, and I hope he does better with other people. Will not be with me, but keep writing. And thanks for listening to Are You Mad at Me?
I'm Josh Morgan.
I'm Vicki Morgan.
We'll see you next week.